Okay, so I just watched Happy Gilmore 2, and not gonna lie, I really enjoyed it. I was a little worried. I mean, I heard about a Happy Gilmore 2 coming out for a while now, and I thought it was gonna be like how most movies are, with, having the cast come back decades later, You always worry that it's gonna be like a Dumb and Dumber 2, where it's just, there's been too much time, gone through, and like, it's just not gonna work, but I gotta say, I really enjoyed this movie. I mean, some stuff I didn't really care for that they did, and other stuff it definitely worked. I will say, like, there was definitely some good and bad in this movie, but overall, I enjoyed this movie. This definitely felt like an Adam Sandler movie, and it felt like he didn't just do it just to get it done to add another movie to his Netflix contract and to make to make money. This one felt like he actually cared. It felt like he wanted to do justice for those who aren't here anymore. And also, before we go any further, this week has been a rough week apparently, because we lost Malcolm Jamar Warner on July 20th. Who got his big break from being Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. He was also in Malcolm and Eddie, and he had a bunch of credits to his name. Like, he wasn't just, he didn't just do one thing and that was it. He went into he did a bunch of other stuff. He was like on the Magic School Bus. He did a couple episodes there. He was on Dexter, Sons of Anarchy. Like, this man did a bunch of stuff, and like how he went out was just sad. Like, it sucked, and like I feel like he's kind of been pushed down, out of the way after the next two people who died after him, which is also strange because 2 days later, Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness dies after he finishes his show, like his final tour. Like, what a way to say goodbye, to finish your tour and then end up passing away. Like, what a rough way to go. And then 2 days later, Hulk Hogan fucking passes away. Like, what the hell? I even saw something on, I think it was on like YouTube Shorts or something, that Boy Meets Worldcast is trying to protect Mr. Feeney because apparently July 2025 ain't taking prisoners. I mean, Mr. Feeney, please be careful after, tomorrow, like, or the 26th, whatever this video comes out. I don't even know when this is coming out. But damn, like, one person goes, then 2 days later, another one goes, then another one goes 2 days later. Like, what a horrible week. Like, if you start your week on a Sunday, damn, like, 3 people in just that amount of time, it's just nuts how people have just dropped like flies. It is just crazy, and it's always been 2 days afterwards. Like, damn, it is just nuts. So, like, giving out a tribute to them, like, all three of them, not just Ozzy and Hulk. You gotta give it to Malcolm too. Like, that dude did a lot of good stuff, and he was still working. Boy was still working. I saw that he had another film coming out. I heard it was rumored, so maybe, hopefully, he did his stuff and, that will come out. I also didn't even realize this as being a wrestling fan, that Ozzy Osbourne was a Hall of Famer in the WWE, which is just crazy. That's wild. I never knew that, but I mean, hey, they induct a lot of celebrities in their Hall of Fame, so it is kind of crazy. But yes, so Happy Gilmore 2, obviously a Netflix release, and, yeah, the way that it started was very similar to the first one. I was thinking, like, oh god, we're gonna have another I Know What You Did Last Summer type of thing, where we're doing just the same thing as we did in the first one. But I kind of liked the intro to this. The de-aging on there was, like, there were times where it was a little spotty, and I was like, ugh, that doesn't look good. But then there was times where it's like, damn, did they actually use, like, footage from back then? Like, it looked good. I liked it. It looked great. I liked how it was all done. It looked very good, the de-aging on there. So, like, I'll give them props for that. There was a poop joke within, like, the first, I think, fucking minute of the movie. Like, damn, we can't even go a movie without a poop joke. Like, Jesus. Like, come on. Come on, Adam. Like, come on. It was a very unnecessary. I get what the whole point of it was, but it just seemed like, damn, like, I was getting worried. I'm not gonna lie. Like, after I saw that poop joke, I was like, damn, like, is this just gonna be another crappy movie that he's just throwing out there? Like, I know people have said some of his movies that he's put out on Netflix are, some of them aren't bad. Some of them are at least worth watching. And some of them feel like old Adam Sandler, which I am an Adam Sandler fan. Like, him, Jim Carrey, and Will Ferrell, like, those were the three main guys who I were watching all of their movies, and I was just, adopting their style. Like, I have so many Adam Sandler and Jim Carrey, and even Robin Williams movies. Like, it is nuts how many of those guys, like, I just wanted to be. Like, hell, if I could still be like them, that would be awesome. Hey, Adam, I got no problem working with you, boy. But yeah, I also, and then they also killed off Virginia in the intro, too. Like, she was a big part of the movie. She was the reason why Happy was, getting better and, focusing. Obviously, her and his grandma were both the driving force for him. But, the fact that they killed her off so quickly, I really thought she was going to be in the movie a lot more. And, the fact that they killed her off within, the first 20 minutes of the movie. They did it in the intro, basically. They didn't even get to the movie yet. She was still in the intro part, and they already killed her off, which kind of bummed me out a little bit. That was kind of rough. And then also in the same intro, they lost Grandma's house. The whole point of the first movie was to get Grandma's house, and now all of a sudden they lost it. I get they gotta have him hit rock bottom, but damn, you first took out the driving force of the first movie, and then you kill off the person who was, making Happy better as a golfer, too, minus Chubbs, damn, it was just ridiculous how much they already, redid the whole so I was really worried going into this. This intro part, scared the crap out of me. And then, obviously, that sends Happy into a whole drinking binge, and he just has himself a rough time getting his life straight. I did like how he had, all of these secret drink holders. Holy cow, how many different secret drinks dispensers did you have? It is kind of crazy. I would assume an actual real alcoholic would have something like this where, they have, a cuckoo clock that has it, or a freaking cucumber that he had was a drinker. God dang, it was so nuts that he had that. But, I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool how many different ones that he had right there. So, obviously struggling after losing his wife and his house, and now his kids, he feels like he's letting them down, so that's even more of a reason. But obviously the driving force in this one is he wants to get his daughter into dancing school, which is going to cost a crap ton of money, and obviously he ain't got no money no more because, his wife, Virginia handled all of that. And now that she ain't here, obviously the finances went down the crapper. And, him drinking didn't help any of it either. So, trying to get his girl a little bit better of a life than he had, because he has faith in all of his kids, But he wants to send his daughter because that's what, her mom would have wanted her to be in, dancing school. So, gives him a nice driving force, and obviously trying to get back into, working his way back into the pros. And obviously, I don't know, John Daly is their pet or something. I don't even know what the hell he's doing in this movie half the time. He's just there. So you got John Daly basically telling Happy, are you going to play? You should play because, it's going to cost all this money. And you could go into the Pro Championship League again and, work your way up. But you got to start at the bottom. So he starts at the bottom of it, teeing off with these four idiots that he calls them. Which already, just up to this point already, the amount of cameos is, already nuts. You've already got, three people who right off the back from just looking at them. It is just crazy the amount of cameos in this movie alone. It is a cameo galore in this movie as you go even further into this movie. It is just wild how many cameos are in this movie. But you know what? I have no problem with it. I kind of... some of the cameos were really good. So, I have no problem with the cameos in this. I feel like the cameos were done right here. But I don't want to get talking into the pros and cons. So, obviously, he starts doing that, kind of getting back into his rhythm. They're obviously realizing now that this is actually Happy Gilmore, and that he sucks, because he's an absolute drunk, and He gets more drunk and ends up crashing his golf cart into these three people, and that's ends up sending him off down the spiral as well. So then some dude tries to come up to him, says, hey, starting a league based off of what you did, like, thanks to you, this is why I want to do this league. Obviously, Happy beats the shit out of him and throws him in a lobster tank, which, goddamn, those poor lobsters. So, obviously, he, is trying to get himself back to being clean, wants to be sober, goes, enjoys HLA is what it's called in this one, because you got Ben Stiller's character from the first movie. Now he's running a whole Alcoholic Anonymous and sober sobriety thing over here, and obviously he's just using them so that he can have, like, his house painted and his car cleaned and shit. Like, he's just taking advantage of them. Basically, it's him from the first movie, he's just taking advantage of those who are weak at the moment. So, obviously, Happy trying to get himself back into straights, and then making his way back to the Pro Tour, telling the guys, like, hey, I gotta get back into it, gotta make some money for my daughter. So you get some of the people from the first movie who were there, some of the golfing legends, obviously. So you get past golf legends, and you get new golf legend, which I'm not a huge golf fan. Like, I know some guys, I don't know all of them. But I mean, the golfers in this movie, they didn't have huge parts, but they did fine. They did okay, like, nothing crazy. Some of them did have some good moments in there, which, that's good, give them something, like, don't let them be too serious and take themselves too serious in here. But obviously, Happy getting back on the course, ends up, starting off pretty rough, but then he works his way back up into the, we get a cameo from the kid from the first movie, where the one that he, like, beats the hell out of. And obviously he holds a grudge towards Happy and all that. So, he starts playing better and everything like that. Sorry, so I gotta go back because Happy's coming back and he's playing. And obviously they were talking about how this new league, this Maxi League, is now trying to take over the old-fashioned golf because they want the new and improved. This is better. Old golf is boring. No one likes it. So now they're going to have a competition between the two. So obviously during this, Happy, he's just playing to try and get it, money for his daughter. He doesn't care if he's on, the top 5 team to face off against this Maxi League. He just wants to make money for his daughter and be done. Well, obviously, on the last day of the championship is Mother's Day, and obviously that is hitting hard because he lost his wife, lost his grandma, like, all of these emotions are coming in, and you see the struggle that he is having, realizing that he doesn't have his one person there, the one person who is keeping him on track, keeping him on going straight, and keeping him focused, basically, knowing where his priorities are and knowing where he needs to put all of his time. But obviously having that breakdown and drinking, he ends up screwing up and ends up finishing in 6th place instead of in the top 5 like he needed to. So, but obviously in a twist, the guy who wins it, who was played by Haley Joel Osment, like, Jesus, came out of nowhere with that one. He ends up winning it, but ends up switching teams, and he ends up going to the Maxi League team. So Happy, by just default right there, finishing in 6th, manages to get into this league, but now he's got to play because he broke a bunch of rules, and the league is fining him, I think it was like $500,000 or something like that. So obviously he's coming up short because he didn't win that much. I think he won like 400 something thousand, so obviously now he owes them. But now being in this tournament with these other 5 guys, they got to train up, get ready to play these Maxi guys. Shooter McGavin comes back into this movie, and he is completely nuts after the whole Happy Gilmore situation. Completely lost his shit and, like, still trying to get himself over. Obviously, the Maxi League dude bails him out of, the mental hospital. Wants him to come be the captain for this Maxi team. And Shooter's like, no, like, this isn't how you play golf. This is dumb. This dude basically flat out tells Shooter everything that he's doing about the course, what they're doing to their ligaments to make them shoot farther. Like, they find out this secret guy who apparently shot his range further than anybody before, but no one ever talked about him. That was a little weird. No one talked about this dude until then, so, like, I don't understand why we couldn't do that. And then, Shooter says no, goes tell Happy. They end up getting into a scuffle, but then they realize, look, we're too fucking old for this shit. Like, let's get going. So obviously the five guys train the new, the old-fashioned team. They get ready to fight. They get ready to go. Start training hard. Chubbs' son comes in, which I didn't even know he had a son. They never mentioned a son in the movie at all. At least I don't remember in the first one that they mentioned the son. So like it was a little weird that kind of came out of nowhere. And then, finally playing. Obviously the courses are crazy, and all of these Maxi League pros are like enhanced in a way, so like they got to figure out how to beat them on their own course, on their own turf, and obviously it comes down to Haley Joel Osment's main villain, Billy something, I don't remember what his last name, but that's fine, because that's the running joke, nobody knows his fucking name in this movie. And then it's down to him and Happy, and Happy's got to go to his happy place, figure out how to do this, and finds out a way to do it in his own happy way, where he ends up banking this shot, and it all works out because he comes lucky. I mean, apparently, in the years that we didn't see, he just became the most luckiest golfer, winning all of his, pro tours and all these championships because he was just getting lucky, It kind of sucks that they weren't putting skill in there, because a lot of it they were saying was just luck, but ends up winning the tournament, ends up getting, the money that he needs, because he bet the Maxi League guy. He's like, look, I want you to pay for my daughter's education. I want you to do this, 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 and this. And, obviously Happy Gilmore is winning it. Was able to send his daughter over to, to this dancing school, and the boys end up joining her over there, obviously, to keep her safe, protect her. And they end up becoming singing mimes, which it's just hilarious in itself. It says it right there. They're singing mimes. Like, it's dumb. And then the tribute at the end, like, goddamn, that definitely hits differently. Like, my God, like, the amount of people that they have lost just from the first movie to this movie, it just sucks. Like, they couldn't make a second one to have these guys in it. But the tribute was nice. I did like the tribute at the end of the movie. It was real good. I liked it. So, it's a good movie. I enjoyed this movie. Now, let's get into our pros and cons of this movie like we always do. So I'm going to do the cons first, because there isn't that many, really. I didn't like that they killed off Virginia so early. Like, I really thought that she was going to be in this movie a lot more, and she was kind of going to do, maybe not the same role, but maybe something a little bit different to keep him driving. I thought maybe he was going to, hurt himself, and that's why he ended up stopping, and she's, training him to get back in there, being almost the Chubbs character in this movie. But no, they killed her off in the intro, and, that kind of sucked. I know they brought her back in, flashbacks here and there, and she would talk to him, but, I really thought she was going to play a bigger part. It felt like, with the amount of time she was, doing promos and stuff like that, I really thought she was going to be a bigger character in this movie. So that kind of sucked. I was, not expecting them to kill off her that quickly. Also, they, redid the other con, they, redid the whole first movie. So the whole first movie was Happy trying to get his grandma's house back. That's the whole point why he joined the tour, and why he even became a golfer. And Virginia was the driving force, keeping him focused and remembering, you're doing this for grandma, you're doing this for her house. And all of that within just the intro is already gone. It's not even like this happened in the movie, and then, all of a sudden now he's got to bounce back and try and get all of this back. No, it's like he lost it all. And then, what the hell? You did this only in the intro. I guess it would have been one thing if you had it where, he loses his, the grandma's house because he ends up, becoming a drinker because he got hurt or something. Maybe Virginia divorces him or something like that, or they have a split where Happy's even on rougher times, and then he eventually comes back to golf, gets himself ready, gets himself trained, figures out his swing again, and gets back out there and does it for, his family, then gets his family back to. I thought it was going to be something like that, and, they just completely redid the whole first movie, which I kind of hate when sequels do that. It's then what was the point of the first movie? Why redo everything? I didn't care for that. And then something that kind of got me, which, if you've already seen the first Happy Gilmore, you don't need all the references and flashbacks. They actually played flashbacks in this from the first movie. Played clips in this first movie. We didn't know who these people were. You could tell from, how they were dressed, or who they were, how they mentioned it and stuff like that. We didn't need to see flashbacks. Now, I get if you're going into this movie and not seeing the first one, but at the same time, why are you watching Happy Gilmore 2 and not seeing the first one first? Because now it, makes no point on why we're getting all of these, I don't mind maybe, one or two of them, when he's trying to think of his happy place or think, okay, what was Chubbs telling me to do when I needed to relax? That's fine, but I don't need a reference in, a flashback to every character that's coming up. I get who that character's supposed to be, or whose kid that's supposed to be, or who this I get that. I saw the first movie, so I didn't really care for that too much. It seemed like they were doing it for people who are seeing this for the first time, which it doesn't make sense. Why would you see the second one and then not see the first one at all? What is the point of even doing that? It's a sequel for a reason. But yeah, that was all my small gripes. I didn't really have many, there wasn't too many things that I thought that were bad in this movie, to be perfectly honest. I really liked this movie. I mean, I even like the small things I had, Shooter and Happy's, actually, let me go get into the pros here. I like that it kind of had the same spirit as the first one. It definitely felt like it was a Happy Gilmore 2 movie. It felt like it was in the same universe. Maybe it's because they were able to bring back so many people that they, obviously were still alive. But, it just still felt like it was the same spirit. And it felt like it just naturally was the sequel. How some movies, it's it doesn't have the same spirit, or it doesn't have, it doesn't feel like it's the first, it's the first one. Obviously, nothing can beat the first one. But that's because we've had 30 plus years for that first one to be ingrained and for us to love it more and more. Obviously, that can't happen with this one just yet. But, at the same time, it's this still felt like the sequel. This is the right sequel for this movie. As much as there was some of the cons that I did not like, it still felt like a Happy Gilmore sequel, and I still enjoyed it. I had the spirit of the first one, and I love that. I like that about that. I liked how close the family was. The family never once said, Dad, you're a drunk, we're fucking done with you, we don't want to be with you, we're disappointed. No, his boys and the daughter were all there for him. They all tried to help him. They were super close. They never tried pushing him away. They were there for his dad, through the hard times. I love that closeness that they had. All of these, they didn't care that they didn't have money. All they cared about is that they had each other, and that's all they needed. And I love that. I love that in this movie. So one of the cons were that I hate that they killed off Virginia in the movie, but at the same time, I did like, as a pro, his struggle. I liked that Happy was struggling to play. He couldn't play because he was afraid that he couldn't do it anymore, and it brought flashbacks of him killing his wife. And then on the Mother's Day game, when it was Mother's Day and he was trying to play, he struggled and he relapsed. It's real shit. You don't think you're going to get that in a Happy Gilmore movie. But the fact that you got that struggle and that realness, I love that. I like that they did that and made Happy not this crazy, eccentric, angry character, he has feelings, and that he loved his wife, and him losing his wife is, a huge driving force. She was the woman of his life, and losing her, it hurts, and it's real, and I like that. Shooter and Happy's chemistry, I loved when these guys were on screen. I liked them in the first movie, they had good chemistry, and in this one, it feels like they did not lose a beat. Every one of their scenes were great. I loved it. I could easily watch another Happy Gilmore 3 with them in the main focus again. They did such a great job. Both men on their A games, I felt like, in this movie. They were hitting on all cylinders, and it felt like they just never got off the track from that first one. It just seems so easy for them to hop back in there, and I like that. And then, some of the minor pros I had, I felt like the jokes were good. Some jokes were dumb, but, you're going into this movie as it's a Adam Sandler movie. You're not going into this thinking you're going to get these you're not going to get, Edgar Wright type jokes where you can come back and you'll still laugh at them and be like, oh shit, I didn't even catch that the first time. This is Happy Gilmore type jokes, you're going to get silly, stupid, slapstick ones, but they hit if you turn your brain off. Like, and I like the jokes, you know, they were good. I liked that on that. And, like, I liked how crazy Shooter was in this movie. He was completely nuts and off his rocker, and I had no problems with it. I was all for crazy Shooter. It was so perfect. I loved that. That was great. And then my final pro, obviously, that ending tribute. It was done so well. Obviously, you couldn't bring back some of the characters, and instead of, you know, forcing them in there like some movies will do and, you know, make this CGI character of them. No, they played it well. You know, they always referenced all of these guys. You know, they all had their moments to shine, and they shined them in this movie. And, like, granted, the, you know, Chubbs one, it was the exact same one as the ending one, which kind of sucked. But, you know, for the other characters who weren't there, you know, like Grandma and the tall freakish dude and the jackass dude, like, they did. I thought the tribute was nice. And overall, I'm gonna give this a B. You know, that might be high. Some people might say that's high, but, like, I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed this movie very much, and I thought it was a very good movie, and it felt like it was an Adam Sandler movie from the 90s again. You know, this felt like prime Adam Sandler, and I liked it. I can easily see myself going back and rewatching this. So, this wasn't a quickie review, obviously, from the time you're looking at this, but, you know, I had to talk about it. I loved this movie. I didn't even realize it was coming out, you know, July 25th. Like, I didn't realize it was that Friday it was coming out, but hopped onto it, and I had to watch it right away. So, tell me what you guys thought about it. Are you thinking I'm crazy? Do you think it was a horrible sequel? It didn't do anything right? Or am I right? And it feels like it's another Adam Sandler on Prime here. You know, like it's hitting this form. So let me know in the comments. Obviously, when I come back to review, it will be about the Fantastic Four. So hopefully we can keep this streak of good movies going on, especially after that horrible I Know What You Did Last Summer. The less about that, the better.